Hello and welcome once again, everybody, to this episode of Terminal Vocation. I'm your host, Deacon Mark.
And I'm Erin.
And we're excited to be back for this conversation. Today we're going to talk about Teams of Our Lady. This is another group, kind of like we talked about at Trinity House Communities a couple weeks ago. We just thought we would mention a couple other groups, and this is kind of one we're going to highlight tonight, which is Teams of Our Lady. It's an international lay movement in the Catholic Church designed to enrich married spirituality, make good marriages better. We were members of it for several years.
Yes.
And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. But let's talk first about how we doing.
I think we're doing all right. We're launching children off to their various missionary assignments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got, 3 down, 2 down, 2.5 down. The one who doesn't live with us anymore came to visit, so he kind of left. So it kind of felt like it was a departure in its own right.
Yeah, and then one more to go. Next week.
She leaves next week.
I feel like that, and then back to school. I was back to school last week for librarians. Librarians reporting, like for spring training, but for fall preparation. And that's been going well. And then Monday kids start.
So. And you had, some kids in today for like a back to school night kind of thing. So
that was very fun.
I think it's interesting. So when we grew up, back to school night was always like 3 or 4 weeks into the start of the school year. I remember always being panicked that like I was going to get in trouble. Like the teachers were going to say something to my mom, which is not really what back to school night is about at all.
No. In fact, they don't want to have those conversations.
No, not at all.
But you didn't know
But when you're 10, you're convinced that something is going to come.
I think just you. I mean, that wasn't a fear of mine.
Okay. Well, so 99.9. Everybody agrees with me. If you disagree, please send your notes to terminalvocation@gmail.com. But I do think it's interesting that it's now, at least where we are, our school district has moved it to before school starts. I think it's a good thing, especially that the kids come and the parents come, and it's kind of a way to start getting them ready for the fact that Monday they're starting. Like it's one of those ways to kind of mentally prepare them that it's beginning.
And so many kids had walked their schedule in the order, especially the 6th graders were walking it in the order. So that I'd see them pass by again. They were starting their B-day schedule, like they had to do it in the precise, which is what I would have done, to be fair, as John.
I would have too. Yeah.
So anyway, it's very fun to see those families. And I had a couple high schoolers come back with their younger siblings. So I got to see the high schoolers. Yeah, it was very fun. Anyway, so that was my week. What about you?
Yeah, I think, we had mentioned that, our oldest was back last week, so that was neat to have him here. And then I guess the other big news is my mom bought a new condo.
Yeah.
And so, this is really exciting. It's sort of an interesting thing because I think my sister and I have different takes on it. Like I'm just sort of being very practical or logical about it, whether that's male, female differences or whatnot. But to me, it's just, she's an old woman who doesn't need to be taking care of a huge house. And yes, we've had it for 40 years, but it's time, it's too big for her. And I think my sister sees that, but has a lot more sentimentality attached to it. So it's been sort of interesting having those conversations. And I think both my sister and my mom are more, kind of go through a little bit more of a grieving process about it, which is sort of interesting to watch. And then, of course, a reminder to me to be sensitive to it, too, because just because I don't feel it, it's normal. I mean, I think.
Of course. Yeah, a lot of memories in that house.
And now that I don't have memories of it, like I remember we moved in Mother's Day weekend in 1985. Like for whatever reason, I remember that exactly because I was in 5th grade and the year of school that I was in was the same as the last digit of the year.
Oh, that's cool.
So I could always remember like, I finished 5th grade in 85. And then I just happened to remember there was Mother's Day weekend because I think I remember I bought my mom a card that I gave her like at some point that day as we were moving in. So a couple of things. So I guess not zero sentimentality, but not the same. So it'll be interesting. So we're going to go see her new place this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So, well, before we jump into talking about Teams of Our Lady, an interesting story in the news, maybe a week or so ago, but probably many people have seen this. Ariana Grande is stepping back after the end of this current tour that she's on. Mm-hmm. So Ariana Grande has kind of been in the news a little bit with people being concerned over she looks too thin and does she have an eating disorder, and a lot of people having comments on her physical appearance and her health. And let's even assume that the majority of those are well-meaning or legitimately concerned. The truth is, unless you probably personally know somebody, their appearance is not something for you to comment on. Really, it's just none of your business. But there's a lot of people saying, oh gosh, she just obviously just can't handle the public pressure or being in the public eye and all these things. So this article, we'll link to this article, but it's interesting. She came out at one of her concerts because after this got out into the zeitgeist, Twitter sphere, whatever we call it, she said, okay, I didn't really control the message on this, I guess. She said, but two things can be true at the same time. And she's sort of paraphrasing this. She said, it can be true that she's enjoying her professional life and yet needs a break. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was, of course, interesting. Yeah, just because, why do we get vacation from work? Right? Oh, you don't like your job? You need more time off? You just had a whole summer off.
I did.
Pretty happy to have it.
I was. Yeah. Happy to be back.
Happy, and both and.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think as I was kind of thinking through this, then there's an interesting parallel because a lot of us, most of us, all of us, at some point as we've had kids, have started to realize, gosh, I love these people and I am absolutely exhausted. And these two things can be true at the same time.
Absolutely. Or that, we had gotten away we go away every 5 years for our anniversary. Mm-hmm. And it is nice just to reconnect, to step away from the family. Great to be back and see them as well, right? Both, yeah.
Yeah.
It just, the internet does not tolerate more than one answer. It is yes or no.
Nuance.
Vehemently.
Yeah.
No nuance.
And the internet do not go together.
No dimmer switch out there.
Yeah. So I thought this was an interesting thing, right? So just remembering as people that we need time away, but as parents too, that it's okay to say that you want a little time apart from your kids. Mm-hmm. It's good, natural, healthy. So, guys' nights, gals' nights, date nights, some mix of those things. And I think that's something that we always tried to focus on was there's nights where you're with the guys, there's nights you're with the girls, mm-hmm. there's nights that we're together. So making sure that none of those are the only thing that we're doing to get away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. With so many things, it's just a balance, right? Ideally, the best thing is a balance.
Right.
If we can get there.
So it's not a sign that you don't love your family. It's just a sign that you love yourself. You want to take care of yourself, and that is okay. So, well, let's dive into Teams of Our Lady. So Teams of Our Lady, and we'll link to their website so you can read more information about them as well. But they were founded a little over 100 years ago, I think, right? Early 1900s by a French priest, Father, we've always said Henri when we first started. And I kind of realized 10 or 15 years into it, I was like, oh, it's probably pronounced Henri.
Yeah.
French, he's a French priest, but
Hank.
Father Henri Caffarel. But he said, to kind of sum up the purpose of Teams of Our Lady have as their essential aim to help couples strive after holiness, no more, no less. So, yeah.
He's up for sainthood. They're working.
Yep.
He is working. I don't know how you say that. He's working his way through the process. We are working his way through the process.
Or others are on his behalf or something, I guess. He is working his way in his own way. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. That was my
No.
Henri.
That's totally true and good. There's a lot of stuff in the material that he wrote, and it is really beautiful. Sometimes the translation would be a little wonky. So sometimes you're reading something that's been translated into French, and sometimes the people that translated it, I think, there was a strong lay following within the team's movement in Portugal. So sometimes things got translated first from French to Portuguese and then Portuguese to English. And so sometimes the double translation effect made things probably a little less beautiful and poetic as they probably were originally.
And clear sometimes.
Yeah.
I think we have very few negative things to say about Teams of Our Lady. That was sometimes the writing was very difficult to read. I do think they have revamped a lot, and that's getting better. But you're right. I mean, in one way, that's great. It was translated into so many languages and back into English.
Yeah,
or into English.
And it's a very strong international movement, and there's a huge following within the U.S. They kind of have a hierarchical structure that has sort of global leadership, but then each country will have what they'll call like a super region team, and then there'll be regional teams and sector teams and stuff. So there's enough of size of the organization that they kind of need that, and those are all volunteer positions. Like it's a really volunteer hierarchy, which is great. Okay, so what is it? Let's talk a little bit more about kind of what it is. So it's a movement of Christian marriage spirituality, which brings couples united by the sacrament of matrimony together that wish to deepen the graces of their sacrament. And so one of the things, and I'll compare it a little bit since we talked about Trinity House a couple weeks ago. Trinity House really uses the term family a lot more in terms of what they're working towards or what their ministry is focused on. And Teams of Our Lady talks a lot more about marriage. And these two things are not mutually exclusive, but as we kind of talk through this, we'll notice things like at a Teams of Our Lady meeting, it's designed really for the couple to go to, not the family to go to. And it's not that they're trying to do anything to stifle the family, so much as they're trying to lift up the family by strengthening the marriage itself.
Yeah, that's the focus.
Yeah,
that's right. So we joined Teams of Our Lady when we were at St. Mark, and we were in young adults together, and there'd be a big group of young adults hanging out, and then as people started getting married, they started leaving the young adult group and ending up in these Teams of Our Lady groups. And so it was just this foregone conclusion that that's what would happen. And so I can remember when we got married, I had called about joining a group and everything was full. I was like, wait, what? Like, we want to be involved in this. But yeah, our first child was, the baby. And so we were with them for a long time until we moved to Leesburg when he was going into kindergarten.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was really, that group in particular was also a social environment. Like we met once a month for Teams activities, but then we were always at some kid's birthday party, somebody's backyard barbecue.
First communion.
Yeah. There was just a lot going on in that group in particular socially, which was lovely.
Yeah. And then when we moved, we, again, kind of got on the wait list and joined a new team here in Leesburg.
We actually, if you remember, we ended up having to start the teams in Leesburg because I think there were a couple floating around, but they didn't have some of the hierarchy of a sector couple and things. We don't have to get into all that. And so we ended up starting two teams at once, us belonging to one and another one that an older couple piloted.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Yeah.
But that one we were on for, almost not just short of 20 years. I mean, 16 years. We left as our kids got older and they were all in college, and we were trying to, hey, we want to have weekends free to go to parents' weekend and homecoming or whatever else. And so it just became, with the big family, we're like, well, we're not going to be able to live out the commitment to being at the meetings all the time as well as we would like.
Yeah, that was definitely.
So,
definitely encroached on that movement
Yeah.
at the time.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, then kind of, what it is, not just theoretically, but then what takes place. So a team is 5 to 7 couples and ideally a spiritual director. Teams get together once a month, and they'll start with a simple meal. Then they'll have some prayer time, which includes scripture reading, meditation on the scripture, prayer intentions. And then there's some time for some what they call deep pooling or deep sharing, which is kind of during the meal, there's light sharing, catching everybody up. How's your month been? Deep sharing is that opportunity if someone's got something major.
A death in the
going on in
family
their
or
life,
yeah.
Just something that is maybe a little bit of a struggle that they maybe just need everybody to know about. It's not designed to be a support group or a therapy session as much as it is just, hey, you're people that I'm journeying with and I want you to know about this.
And that was by no means every month. It would just be, randomly as life happened to people. Hard things in life happen to people.
Yeah, so it's this kind of part of the meeting where they would say, does anybody have anything for deep sharing? And if it happens, it kind of just replaces everything else that would normally happen that night, and that's always assumed to be just fine. That's no problem. And then there's some time to talk about the endeavors. We'll talk more about those in a minute, what those are. And then there's a study topic. So the team is usually reading together through some sort of book or study material, kind of that, like, it's not a book club. It's not, what it's designed to be.
Yeah.
But there is usually maybe like a chapter, 10, 15, 20 pages a month of something that is usually about marriage or family life. And then, of course, there's some time for like housekeeping, administrative matters, and a closing prayer, which is the Magnificat.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the endeavors, I thought those were always an interesting part of the meeting. I can go into those, but it's really, in some ways, kind of that heart of the team. Like, this is where what we learn, we put into practice between meetings, or you're trying to, at least. So those consist of, they're asking you between meetings that you're regularly read the scripture. You have some kind of daily period of meditation or individual prayer. And then they ask for daily prayer as a couple or with with the whole family. And then this is where, we've referred to this before as the monthly sit down with your spouse, and just how valuable that was to just once a month sit down prayerfully, have a conversation.
That one always felt like the secret sauce to me.
Yeah.
Like of all of them. But
yeah, I think that one, was really effective. Is still really effective. And then a rule of life. And this was just kind of maybe some kind of private individual endeavor that you had for improvement. And that was sort of reviewed regularly, maybe yearly. You looked at it and said, I'm going to focus on this right now.
And for some people, that was something like a pithy saying. I don't mean to say pithy in terms of reducing it, but it might be like almost like a motto that would kind of bring something to their mind in terms of a kind of mindfulness about their life. For other people, it was like a structured plan of things that they wanted to do, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever.
Yeah. I remember one of our team members had one that was something along the lines of like, be here now, like be where your feet are, basically. Yeah. And I just remember so many times, because we were talking about that regularly, felt like that helped me, even though it wasn't necessarily my rule of life. It was just a good rule of life. And then the last one, which we didn't take advantage of nearly enough, but our team finally got around to it. It was really good. It's called the annual team retreat. And it was so worthwhile once we started. It was difficult when the kids were little. And we tried it with our initial team a couple times. It was very hard. And then as our kids got older, it was just such a nice time away. Yeah. So those are the endeavors. That's what everybody in the team is trying to do. And there's that time in the meeting where you just talk about what's working or what's not working. It was a good time to learn what other people were doing that was working. Yeah. It's helpful.
And then there's also this list of what they call responsibilities. And so the endeavors are kind of called that because they're things we're endeavoring to do or trying to do. There are ways that we're trying to kind of grow and strengthen our spiritual life. The responsibilities are things that are a little bit more expected, or kind of table stakes, if you will. To pray the Magnificat daily, to attend the monthly meetings. Hey, can't say you're on the team if you're not going to the team meetings, right? To have read and prepare for the study topic. What do you mean you haven't read the book, Linda? Make an annual contribution to the growth and sustenance of teams, and to read the team's newsletter. There's more here. Yeah, sorry, scrolling down. Completing an annual evaluation. So teams usually would have, hey, how do we like what we're doing? What would be some things we could improve? Hospitality to fellow teams couples. Attend sector, regional, national events whenever possible. And if you're in a leadership position like a regional couple, a super regional couple, to make an effort to attend an extra mass each week.
You were mentioning the similarity to Trinity House in some ways, and that hospitality reminds me of Trinity House, of course. I mean, that's just one of their main foundations of a Trinity House. And so again, just seeing it here and hosting people in your home, because typically the couples would rotate. So 1 week you're at the Smiths, 1 week you're at the Joneses, 1 week, and so to have people into your home to cook a main course for them, other people are bringing the side dishes and beverages and dessert and things. So important, that community.
And when you start to read through this list, it sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like there's endeavors and there's responsibility. I mean, it reminds me of like when you're in Scouts and you've got the Scout Oath, but then there's the Scout Law, and then there's these 12 points and I have to memorize it.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a lot. First off, it is. But that's not there to be a gating factor. It's not there to weed people out. Mm-hmm. It's there in order to encourage growth.
Well, it gives you a structure. There's your road to run on. Doesn't mean you're hitting all those points every time, but you're trying to improve in those areas.
Yeah. And so those responsibilities are really designed around, okay, these are the minimum things in terms of being on a team, right? Attending the weekly or the monthly meeting and having done the study topic. I mean, that's a basic level of participation, right?
Sure.
But then some of those other things that are listed as endeavors, I mean, it's because we're trying to do those things. We're trying to get those stronger. That's like, if the responsibilities are like the get up in the morning, feed yourself, get sleep, there's those things you kind of have to do to keep the body running.
Sure.
The endeavors are like, go to the gym, have an arm day, have a leg day. They're the things that are actually trying to make you stronger.
Yeah. Foundational. Yeah, it's true. I think some of it too, you can look at all that and say, well, like, why am I doing that? Like, what am I picking? Am I going to Trinity House? Am I doing Teams of Art? Like, you have to kind of settle on something, maybe more than one thing. But if you're going to do it well, sort of pouring in your time to one organization or another, I think is helpful. And so, why are you doing this? It helps us grow, and we're trying this method out. The Teams of Our Lady method now. Doesn't mean there's aren't other valuable ones out there, but this is what you're pouring your energy into. And I really think that accountability was what we got out of it. And in particular, I think the sit down that I think we gained the most from. And I mean, we certainly read the topics, the study topic and things, but I think that was the thing we were probably pretty consistent about. Other things could fall off the radar, but we were pretty good about the sit down when we were in teams.
Yeah. And even still, even though we've, left teams, technically speaking, having done it for about 20 years, that way of talking about relating to one another, that idea of saying, oh, we need to have a sit down. We need to have a conversation that's intentional, that's in the context of prayer, and then is focused on the long-term success of our marriage and our family. And so those kinds of conversations, we start to realize, okay, these aren't just hope that it happens at some point, hope that there's a date night coming up. It's like, no, we need to put this on the calendar. Yeah.
And I think it's the kind of thing now where one of us might say like, hey, we should probably have a sit down. And the other one's like, are we good? Is everything okay? No, we just haven't had a sit down. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. We're just doing that. Good. Because we're due.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is like knowing that there's certain topics that we're going to talk about better if we do them in a sit down than if we just try and bring it up over dinner.
Yeah. Sometimes things are always better in the context of prayer.
Yeah.
For me also, I think, and we've mentioned this before, about it is planned and on the calendar. And so if something has come up as a frustration, in a matter of weeks, if you can't deal with it now, especially if, you have kids running around, you got things to do, you can't always have these deep in-depth conversations like you'd like to, but you're like, okay, in a week, I'm going to be able to talk about this, and that's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's just set in the plan.
And one of the things I tell couples when I'm helping them prepare, because I talk about the idea of a sit down a lot and the goodness of it. And I talk about date nights a lot and the goodness of those. And I think it's important that those two things don't become the same thing.
Oh, correct.
Because date nights are part of, is it Arthur Brooks now has made a big deal of talking about this, have more fun together.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what date nights are really for. It's to reconnect. It's to have fun with each other. And sit downs are not always fun. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that they're painful necessarily. It doesn't mean that they are bad. It's just a different type of conversation, right? And so try not to conflate those two things and make sure that both of them are happening.
The one thing I think I would maybe asterisk to what you just said is that for me, as somebody who likes to relate that way in talking, and that brings me closer to people, I think I always felt more connected after they were over.
Sure. Yeah.
So maybe you're right, it's not fun, but to me I was like, oh, it was always so good that we did it.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I didn't mean to say that it was unfun.
Yeah.
So much as it's but you feel good about it kind of in the way you feel good about exercise.
I was just going to say that.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't like running, but I like having run.
Right.
I don't necessarily, look forward to, oh boy, tonight's a sit down. It's going to be a great Friday night, but at the end of that Friday night, it's like, man, that was so good for us.
Right.
I'm still so in love with this person.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very good in that particular way. That's absolutely true. So why do it? Why do it? Right. So I think for us, actually, I want to touch on one other thing, is you talked about kind of, I don't think you were saying this, that you had to pick and choose between these, but as we outline these, we're never trying to say that a successful marriage means you're doing all of these things.
Correct.
That's, definitely not. There are people that do Trinity House and Teams of Our Lady and engage, Marriage Encounter and all these other things. And you can do all of them I would say, as long as you're not starting to get burnt out by them. But there's a lot of couples. I know at our parish right now, we have a Trinity House community, and there's a handful of maybe 4 to 6 Teams of Our Lady teams. And I've talked to some young couples who are involved in Trinity House, and they've started trying to get on to Teams of Our Lady groups because they've said, the Trinity House is great for our family, and our kids love going, and our kids see this as a thing that we do at church that isn't mass and makes going to an event at church a fun thing to do, and that's its own good. I said, but we needed something that was us as a couple going to. So they both have a different itch that they're scratching. So
yeah, a different place.
Okay, so why do it? Why do Teams of Our Lady? What's the good that comes from it? And I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit. Is it good for something? And I think it's good for a lot of things. But I think drawing the couple closer to each other is going to strengthen the family. Mm-hmm. I think we talked about the sit downs. I call them a secret sauce. Everything that we've ever chosen to do because we heard that it had like a low divorce rate or something like that ultimately came down to the idea that it forced communication of difficult topics between the couple. Mm-hmm. Teams of Our Lady, NFP, like a lot of these things. Like, well, once a month, you have to have a conversation about all the things that make marriage difficult.
Yep. Yeah. I think in the why do it column, so we've got that, but you also have, there is just this social network beyond the couple. And that I think becomes really important, one, to avoid isolation. Also just to hear what other people are going through, to get ideas, to share the burden when they're going through something, when you're going through something. So there's a whole social aspect, and different from Trinity House where there's a family social aspect and the kids are running around and playing. This is strictly couples, and so it's time for talking and support and encouragement that happens from one couple to another couple.
Yeah. It's funny because you said avoid isolation. It also brings some consolation when you're talking to another couple and you realize as you start meeting with these specific couples every month, you start developing relationships with them, you start asking for prayers, you start sharing things in this deep sharing, and you start to realize, everything's not perfect in their family either.
Yeah.
Just like it's not in mine, right? Because we can often just see other couples and we just see this facade. We just see this patina on them that looks, gosh, they're all put together. They're all dressed so nicely at Mass, and we have no idea what it took to get them there.
Sure.
Looking that way. So it's sometimes just so good in a misery loves company kind of way.
Yeah.
To just say, okay, other people are struggling with the terrible twos or puberty or, whatever
aging
other
parents.
aspect of aging parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, let's talk about that a little bit too, because I think that's one of the things that was great is that you're with this team kind of for life. So there's an element of teams where you go through piloting material. So you have the first 6 meetings or so that everybody learns about Teams of Our Lady. And at the end of that 6 months, you're asked to make a yes/no decision or commitment for the coming year, that I'm going to commit to these responsibilities and to these endeavors and try and be a part of it. And that's done every year, so you're not making a commitment for life, but the fact that people are committing means they start to grow together. And we were with the same couples. We had some come and go, but there was 3 or 4 couples that were together for all of that 16 years. And we started to see, and you made me think of this when you mentioned aging parents, we just started to see these phases of life come and go, and we would start to see that others, and I think most teams get formed by couples that are in kind of the same phase of life. There's not a huge dispersion, but there's always someone who's at the front end or leading edge of certain things. And it's just so good to have that help. Yeah.
And I think it does give you that perspective of this is a phase of life, and this phase too shall pass, whether that's the terrible twos or the aging parents phase. Like it is, these are phases of life, and they come to an end, you know, for good or for bad.
Last thing that I think maybe I would call out amongst the endeavors that's been something that we came to maybe a little bit later, the daily conjugal prayer, our couple's prayer. And we always prayed, we at least said grace as a family. When the kids were little, we would, tuck them in and say prayers at night. As they got to be like middle school age, that didn't happen as frequently. And so I think when we, within the last 2 or 3 years, started to realize, gosh, we really should be praying together. Like that should be an intimacy that should be a stronger part of our marriage. And even just a short couple minute sharing of, hey, what are the 2 or 3 things that I would most like for us as a couple to offer up, offer as an intention, and then a quick Hail Mary or Our Father. Just sharing with each other, what are the things that we need that help with.
And that came directly from a Teams meeting, because I can remember who said it, who was talking about, well, this is what we do. And it was like, oh yeah, we're not really doing that, and I think we were for so long with the kids, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So you're absolutely right.
And I think it was also them kind of talking about how they did it. It's like, oh, that doesn't sound like it's hard or burden. Like it sounds like it's a new habit So it's hard in terms of building a new habit, but not like, oh, you need to find another half hour every day. It's
No,
it's not that.
it's just this. Yeah. So yeah, it's such a good place to get ideas like that.
Well, as I mentioned, we'll link to the Teams of Our Lady website. There's certainly ways to get information from there. If you have any ideas or other topics that you'd like us to talk about, like Teams of Our Lady or Trinity House or something else, send them to us, terminalvocation@gmail.com. You've been listening to Terminal Vocation, a VoFan production. I'm Deacon Mark, along with my wife and co-host Erin. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week.
Thanks.